You want to hit record? Perfect. All right, good morning and welcome to another Friday morning safety meeting. It's already almost halfway through April, if you can believe that. This week's code item of the week is to be prompt, start on time. That's for work, appointments, projects, etc. Mr. Dow, over to you.
Yeah, plan ahead and be on time, but also communicate when things change. That's an important one. Call ahead. It's okay. I know this that we don't need to speed to get there. If we're going to be late, just let people know.
Thank you, Ben. Safety news, 65 days without a recordable injury, 42 days without a first aid injury, 22 days without a vehicle incident. And I checked the weather. I didn't see any snow in the forecast for anywhere in Vermont, so I can officially say that it looks like we all drove without any incidents in the snow this year. So congratulations and a safety shout out to everybody for being safe in the
Good.
wintry conditions.
Yeah, and thanks to the guys for putting all the snow treads on.
Yeah.
That's quite a job every year. It helps.
All right. This week, we're going to talk about environmental hazards. So we'll start out with ticks. Ticks are kind of the enemy of being outside, especially in the next couple weeks or so. They're really going to flare up. So Lyme disease is the most common disease that you'll get from them. I had it this past fall. It's not fun, but you'll typically get a rash, but you may not. So if you see the bullseye rash, like what you see on the screen there, it's a telltale sign that it's Lyme disease. But you still might have Lyme disease without having the rash. So you'll have joint pain and stiffness, muscle pain, fatigue, fever, headache, and the blood tests are used for diagnosis, but be sure to mention tick exposure to get the blood test. And sometimes if you've had a lot of tick exposure, they'll just tell you you have Lyme disease if you have the rash without doing testing. And treatment is available. The treatment's just as bad as having Lyme disease, so we really want to avoid it. So I'm trying to word this in the most professional way possible, but it almost feels if you had to describe it, it almost feels like you had a rough night out and you hurt your neck in the process. So if you wake up feeling achy and stuff and have a headache and everything, then you should probably get checked out for Lyme. If you're in the wellness program, they can do all of that for, I believe, free, but the testing might cost money. Other tick-borne diseases, you have a whole bunch of them, but the big one is alpha-gal syndrome, which can cause a red meat allergy. That's typically comes from the Lone Star tick, but it can come from other ticks as well. You can also see Rocky Mountain spotted fever and a couple others. Best way to remove a tick is with tweezers. You want to grab as far down as you can and pull straight up. Then you want to swab the area with alcohol or soap or something like that. And then you want to save the tick for testing. Not many places are testing ticks anymore, but you might be able to find a lab at the college or something that'll take it. Next, we have poison ivy, and poison ivy can sometimes be prevented with the different pre-contact wipes and post-contact wipes. We have them upstairs, and we have them in our truck, so if you need them, let us know. If nothing's available, washing suspected areas with dish soap can be helpful because it's a Urish oil that's the issue. So if you can get the oil off as soon as possible, that's going to help. Do not touch any sensitive areas of your body after you have suspected contact. And over-the-counter remedies are available. I know for myself, I'm terrible about identifying, but I get it really bad. So hopefully we can all do better at recognizing it this year. Then you have poison oak, and that's going to cause an intense itch at the area where the rash will appear, an itchy, blistering rash that appears shortly after the itching begins, and blisters that may open and leak before crusting over. So it's the same thing. It's still Urish oil that's causing that. And then you have poison sumac. You're going to have itchiness, burning sensation on the skin, redness and discoloration, swelling, and watery blisters. And that's going to usually be found more in your wetland kind of areas. With any stings and bites, if you're allergic, make sure that you have your EpiPen with you all summer long and every day. So if you get stung by a bee and you're allergic, you can give yourself your EpiPen. If you have an inhaler, keep that with you too, because an inhaler always goes well with an EpiPen if you have an allergic reaction. Any red ants or anything, you're gonna get bit a whole bunch of times. So just remember that. And if you kick a ground hornet's nest, you're gonna have a bad day. Something else to remember is that with allergies, when it comes to like anything, but especially bees and stuff like that and stinging insects, the more exposure you have, the more likely you are to have a reaction. So if you've never had a issue with bees at all and you get stung 50 times, you might have a reaction then. But the next time you get stung, you're more likely to have a reaction than ever before. So just be mindful that just because you've never had an allergic reaction to any stings or bites, that it's not impossible to have that happen. That wraps it up for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Thanks,
wellness
Tom.
program's great for the poison ivy too. They can give you, I think that the steroids, if you get a bad rash, I think it's only like $10 to nip
Really?
that pretty quick. So I had to do that last year and it was a big help because I got into it pretty bad at my house.
What did they give you? Was it
There's
pills?
just a little steroid like Prednisone, and it just
Oh yeah.
nips in
Yep.
the butt in like 5 days versus having it, having it for potentially a month if you can't get it under control.
Yeah.
It just puts your immune system kind of in super drive.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks, guys. All right. All right. Let's see. So we do have a couple announcements this morning. Today, we have a special. We had some special requests to have the ESOP info meetings, or to have a few on Friday. So today we have an ESOP meeting at 2:00. It's right here in the conference room at 98. I believe we have 6 people signed up, so we got room for more. I encourage anybody that has not been to one of those to go, because it's a chance to be in a small group, and a lot of good questions get answered. And I've been to like 9 of those things, and I learn a little bit of something every single time I go to those. So to get involved in the ESOP, the best thing to do is go to one of these while we're still running them. So 2:00 today. Let Aaron know if you end up showing up, we're gonna fit you in. Be nice if you could either email or give Aaron a call. Her information's right here on the top of the email. And congratulations to Calvin Miller. He's been promoted to operating foreman, and we're gonna give him a pat on the back when you see him. Good job, Calvin. And we've got a couple more in the coming weeks. In getting ready for the work this spring, we're probably going to be making a few more promotions, and I'll make sure that if people get the word to me, which I'll probably most likely have, I'll put it on the email. I left a few things on here. The transfer fuel tank cards, Sarah has those. And if you still have a shirt from the kickoff that's the wrong size, see Sarah. We got 2 new employees this week. Chris Jerome, related to the other Jeromes, concrete form worker. He started earlier this week. And we have David McDonough, going to be laboring in the civil group. And he started also earlier this week. So say hi to them when you see them. Welcome, you guys. And we have the project of the week. I want to thank you, Cody, for putting this together. It's a job that we did a little bit while back. Do you want me to drive this, Cody, or do you want to?
No, you can drive.
Okay. I tried to format it so that it would work, and hopefully I didn't jumble it up. I think I did. I think I proofread it and got it in the right order. Thank you, Cody.
Not a problem. We can make do. So in the May of 2024, V-Trans contracted with ECI to replace 2 storm damaged culverts on the VTR in the towns of Shaftesbury and Wallingford. Before this job bid, I wasn't really thinking about it, but Shaftesbury and Wallingford are really not close to one another. several towns apart. So it's kind of an odd coupling of projects. But the Shaftesbury site was an existing 30-inch corrugated metal pipe that was completely plugged and is being replaced with a new 30-inch polymer coated. And the Wallingford site consisted of track work, riprap slope work, and replacing 2 failed corrugated metal pipes with a new RCP pipe and a new box culvert.
Nice.
Both sites were completed during were to be completed during weekend shutdown periods, starting Friday evening and having the track open Monday morning. So
that
the
looks
first,
like one of the plugged ones, right?
yes, and if you
Didn't
say,
see it.
well, where's the culvert? Yeah, you'd be right. It's buried down in that water somewhere. And
Yeah.
then this was a picture from the other angle, and you can see there the road, the town highway was just parallel to the track, and you can kind of see the other culvert that goes under the town highway in the distance there. But
Yeah. Wow.
this is the Wallingford location. You can see there's a culvert in the background, and there's one a little bit closer that's deeper. But this site here looked fairly dry. There wasn't really any water to speak of flowing while we were there. So it was just kind of an interesting site why they figured they had to replace these 2 culverts here with some much larger pipes. But we'll see that in a minute.
Cool.
There's just another angle. The river, there was a river kind of parallel to the track right next to where we were working. So
Oh yeah.
so ECI mobilized to the job site in September of last year and started at the Shaftesbury site. The original scope of this site was to clean the existing culvert and inspect whether the culvert was worth saving. However, VTrans worked with FEMA to agree, or get them to agree, that replacing the culvert was actually much more cost effective than cleaning an aging corrugated metal pipe. So at bid time, ECI knew that a weekend closure was probably not going to be necessary to change this shallow culvert out, and the crews were able to replace the culvert during normal track windows during the week.
Cool.
The site was located within the continuously welded rail section of this corridor, which meant that the ECI rail crew had to panelize a short section of track and then have it re-welded back together for the completion of the project.
Cool. So that was a quick
So
one.
it was a quick hitter, so quick that I wasn't able to get down there to take pictures of the site while they were working.
So fast you couldn't get the picture.
Yeah. So that's the finished culvert, and you can see it's open and free flowing, and the town's probably going to have a problem with their culverts someday now. So
Yeah, they're gonna see our culvert and be jealous. Okay. Cool.
and then some beautiful track work.
Oh yeah, that's the section that they welded back in.
Yeah.
And it was
yeah.
pre-panelized, right? Yeah.
And they put some new ties in as well. So no,
Nice.
looks great. So after Shaftesbury was completed, the crew moved up north to Wallingford. This site had a lot more work than Shaftesbury. It had several washouts requiring stone fill stabilization, plus the replacement of 2 culverts. The first pipe was being replaced with RCP, and the second pipe was being upsized with a new concrete box. ECI procured the box from United Precast, and this was a uniquely small box culvert. The final inside dimensions were 2 feet high and 6 feet wide, and the box was only 24 feet long. So being only 2 feet tall, the precasters actually couldn't even pour it as one unit. So they had to pour it as a separate top slab. So, and then the other issue was that the contract plans called for it having a monolithic head wall, cutoff wall at each end, which was also a bit of a unique feature.
Yeah.
I put a couple screenshots of the contract plans. So there was
Yep.
a couple riprap slopes, the 2 culverts.
Staging
And there's-
area. Yep.
Yeah, and this site actually had quite a bit more track work than the other site did.
Yep. Looks like a good run.
So this was the shop. This is out of the shop drawings for the box culvert. So the actual head wall was a full rectangle, and it was a battered wall, which meant it picked funny as well.
Yeah.
And then there were dowels everywhere. Perhaps the most dowels I've seen on a box culvert. which just meant there's a ton of grouting everywhere.
Yep.
So as it turns out, due to another VTrans project on the VTR, ECI was able to get an extended track outage for the Wallingford site. ECI had already replaced the RCP and conducted some of the stone fill work ahead of time in between trains, but we installed the box culvert and performed the track work during the closure period. And so there really wasn't any flowing water, but it was certainly wet at the bottom of the excavation. And this picture is good proof that the project manager just shows up, after all the hard night work was done, and just chit chats with the resident, and then leaves.
Well, the guys do appreciate it when you draw the resident away from them.
Actually, Judy was pretty good. I think everyone agreed that she was a pretty good RE.
That is cool.
The box culvert train. You can see those monolithic head walls with the batter on them.
Are those all hooked together in like it is a train,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That's a good picture.
Of course, they want their fabric everywhere, all kinds
Yep.
of fabric. I think VTrans has some stock in Mirify or something.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
So we actually had to set the head walls in first because we had to backfill behind them to get up to grade, and then it was a lot of work to slide the pieces in and get them set in place, even though there was only 3 box sections.
Sure is nice having our own crane.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I was sliding that first bottom section in.
It's a nice looking precast.
And it shows there's quite a bit of a gap there in that monolithic head wall that they had to grout, and all the dowels and the mastic around the dowel holes, and a lot to these.
Yeah.
Guys working late into the evening.
Yeah, that's like 20 something feet long. You said 24 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
And all the finished stonework.
It's professional.
Obviously the new ties and the track look real well too.
Well, that's
Some beautiful grout work.
That's awesome.
So yeah, as I said, the installation was a little bit tricky just because of the monolithic head walls and the separate top slabs. There were lots of dowels and a ton of grouting required to get all the pieces together. But in the end, the ECI was able to get the tracks back open well in advance of the first train. And in the days following, we finished up the last of the stonework and cleaned up the site. We'll return in the spring just to make sure that all the grass is taken up. And but yeah, this is another major success for ECI.
Nice job.
And this last picture, this was actually, I added this yesterday. This was from Ron, went down to check on the site. So there actually is flowing water in this culvert. And
it's working, and it looks like it was set level too, looking at that flow coming off.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Good job, you guys. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that monolithic head wall is a weird detail. I've never seen that before, Cody.
Yeah, it was. I didn't think too much about it when we bid the job, but
yeah, man, that's funky. The precasters must have been like, "What the fuck is this?"
and that big slab. Well, I found some pictures I took in 2011 on the VTR after Hurricane Irene. You can see the track running down through there, and some of the culverts that they like to put in on that line are to equalize when they have this situation, and get water building up on one side and on the other, Cody. So sometimes when a culvert doesn't make sense, it's due to some of the ability to get the water through rather than wash the tracks out. But yeah, that was a crazy storm if you guys all remember it. There's the track. Can you see where it is? Well, thank you, Cody. And thanks for your comments, Brendan, and everyone, and I'll turn it back to the safety.
Yeah, have a great day. Have a safe day. If you're watching a group setting, please send over attendance and enjoy the Masters weekend.
Yep.
For the
Be
golfers.
safe.
Yeah. Rory already choked.